This topic is solving a two-step equation with sign fractions. So before you freak out, because we're talking about fractions, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the fractions. So that way we can solve it like a regular equation afterwards. In order to do this, we need to look at each of the denominators. Okay, so in this case we've got 5, we've got 2, and 3. And we need to find a common multiple between the three of them. Sometimes it's not very easy to identify. So what you could do is, and sometimes you'll get big numbers, but you could go ahead and multiply each of the denominators together as long as you don't have a double. Okay, so in this case, we're going to take 5 times 2 times 3, which is going to get us 30. Okay, so this, I'm going to put substeps here, is the greatest common denominator. I'm going to abbreviate. So once we have identified 30 as the common denominator, we're going to take that and multiply it to each number. So notice I have my equation really stretched out here, and I'm putting the 30 in front of each of the numbers. Okay, do not leave any number out. So our second step is going to be to multiply. Multiply to each number. So when we multiply, what happens is we kind of, it's called cross simplifying. And so basically you're looking at 30, and 30 can go into 5 or be divided by 5, which is 6. Okay, so 30 divided by 5 is 6. So now we're going to take these two numbers, don't forget them, and we're going to multiply them together. So 6 times 2, negative 2, gets us negative 12. Next one we're going to do is 30 divided by 2. That's 15. Okay, so now, oh, I almost forgot to bring the u down. That's very important. So now we've got 15 times a negative 3. And if it helps, go ahead and bring that down, so that way you make sure that you include all your numbers. Okay, we could have done that for this first one as well. And same thing here. 30 divided by 3 is 10. And if you want, again, we kind of already started that, so we'll go ahead and do that here too. Okay, so 10 times a negative 5 is a negative 50 equals, and then 15 times a negative 3 is negative 45. And then we're going to bring down this negative 12u that we already multiplied out. Now from here, you're going to treat it just like a regular two-step equation. Oh, my line disappeared. Here, let me rewrite that line for those of you who are like writing that line all the way down. Okay, so since we have a negative 45, we're going to add 45 to both sides. So we have a negative 50 and a positive 49, which gives us a negative 5. We're going to bring down that negative 12u. And now we're going to divide negative 12 on both sides. And we have a negative and a negative. Now, if we divided this in a calculator, we'd get a decimal. Now, of course, we know by now that Alex is not going to want a decimal. Alex is going to want the fraction. And so here, we're just going to get rid of those negative signs because we have two of them. So a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And in this case, it's going to be 5 over 12. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and put those steps up here. So we multiplied to each number. And then our next step, so 2, was to move our number to the right side. By adding or subtracting. Third step, we divided. Both sides. Our fourth step, of course, was reduce the fraction. So you may have one that you actually need to reduce, both by 2 or by 3, and so on. But in this particular topic, your answers will be fractions. Okay. If you are going to use a calculator to clear the fractions up at the top, I wanted to go ahead and include those steps. And so I'm just going to do the first number. You would take 30. You would press your parentheses button. Then you're going to press your negative button. This is the negative key, not the minus key. And then 2. And depending on which calculator you have, you'll either use the one that has the fraction, or you will press divide. Then you'll press 5 in this case. Your close parentheses. And then either your equal, again, depending on which calculator you have, your equal or your enter key. And it will give you a negative 12. Okay, so you can clear it by cross-simplifying, like I showed you up here. Or you can go ahead and punch it into your calculator like so, in order to get to this, I guess it'd be more like this step right here. So that way you can solve regularly for your x, or u in this case.